Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. The time is 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us for this information session. Tonight, we will be discussing the online and part-time graduate programs in electrical and computer engineering offered through the Whiting School of Engineering at Johns Hopkins University. My name is Cheryl Williams, and I am the Assistant Director of Recruitment and Marketing for the Whiting School of Engineering. With me tonight is Dr. Brian Jennison. Brian is the chair of our ECE program. He teaches a number of courses for our program, including digital signal processing and signal and systems. He is a member of the principal professional staff at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, where he has worked on signal processing efforts for radar, sonar, chemical detectors, and other sensor systems for over 27 years. At APL, Brian is the assistant supervisor of the systems group. Brian, would you like to say hello?
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl, and thanks for everybody for joining us. We're excited to be able to tell you about the ECE program here at Johns Hopkins. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Brian. For tonight's presentation, we'll start off with an introduction to Johns Hopkins Engineering. Next, Brian will discuss with you our online and part-time degree programs in electrical and computer engineering. Then we'll review some helpful information on tuition and payment options, talk about next steps and important dates, and we'll end with a live question and answer session. If you have any questions at any point in the presentation, please type them into the questions tab on your control panel. If you are joining us via a cell phone or a tablet this evening through the GoToWebinar app, simply select the question mark to access the question section. We'll address all questions at the end of the presentation. So why study engineering at Johns Hopkins University? Johns Hopkins University was founded in 1876 as the nation's first research university. The School of Engineering opened its doors in 1913, and in 1915 it began offering part-time engineering coursework as night classes for technical workers. Since then, we've grown to offer more than 20 master's programs that can be completed part-time. 18 of these programs can be completed entirely online. Our programs are designed by people who thoroughly understand your industry. We like to say our programs are for engineers by engineers. Our faculty are expert and working engineers, and our faculty and instructional designers construct new and update existing coursework every year so it includes the most up-to-date information. In addition to our part-time programs, the Whiting School of Engineering has over 25 research centers and institutes. This includes our strong partnership with the Applied Physics Laboratory in Laurel, Maryland. We also offer full-time bachelor's, master's, and PhD programs that are conducted in residence at our Homewood campus in Baltimore, Maryland. Our online and part-time programs are led by respected senior engineers from our Applied Physics Laboratory and faculty from our full-time programs. We are ranked in the top 20 best online graduate engineering programs by U.S. News & World Report. We are ranked 5th for best online graduate computer information technology programs. And of all the schools that are included in these rankings, we have the largest online part-time student population. So not only will you have lots of fellow students going through a similar learning experience, but these rankings really speak to the quality of our programs regardless of our size, and our school is experienced and well-equipped to help you navigate graduate education as an online student. The degree that you earn studying with us part-time is of the same quality as our full-time degree programs. Your diploma will not say online or part-time. You are eligible and highly encouraged to participate in commencement. And as a graduate, you will be one of more than 28,000 Whiting School alumni and will join our esteemed international alumni community. So that is an overview of who we are and the value of our programs. Now Brian is going to talk to you more about our online and part-time programs in electrical and computer engineering. Brian?
Great, thanks, Cheryl. So yeah, going to the next slide, we'll talk about some of the distinguishing features about the ECE program here at Johns Hopkins. I think we're really characterized by really the breadth and the depth in our curriculum. We have over 80 courses in the program. over half of those are available online, and we are adding to that list continually in both online and something called virtual live, where students that are remotely located are able to actually see and participate in a in-class course. So those of you who are not located in the Baltimore, Washington area, certainly our courses are available, and we've had many students complete our degree that from all over the country and increasingly internationally. Our 80 courses are separated into what we call technical focus areas, and I'll talk a little bit more about those technical focus areas here in a minute, but they really comprise the full range of technical areas in electrical and computer engineering, which speaks to that breadth in our curriculum. We think our courses are very rigorous, they're very challenging, but also very rewarding. We had a recent survey of our graduates, and over 97% of graduates from our program stated that they would recommend our program to those who are considering a professional master's degree in ECE. So I think that really speaks highly to the quality of our program. Cheryl talked earlier about the faculty in our program being primarily working engineers drawn from industry and government labs. And I think that's really important, that I think these instructors are really best suited to work with and instruct students who are largely also working engineers. And I think it's important to keep in mind that these are kind of the leaders in industry and government labs who really are only teaching in this part-time fashion because they really love to teach. They love sharing their knowledge and interacting with students. This isn't something that's required. They're doing it as kind of above and beyond their normal commitments, and I think that really speaks to their love and value of the educational process. We've had many of our instructors that have won teaching awards over the past decade. In fact, this past year, 2 ECE instructors were awarded teaching awards for Johns Hopkins. In addition to our curriculum, we also have other ways that students can gain knowledge and get credit for graduate work. One is semester-long independent studies, where you would work with an instructor for a semester on some mutually agreed to topic. And oftentimes these projects lead to some type of conference presentation or journal paper. And we also have a 2-semester thesis option, where if you're pursuing either the postmaster's certificate or the master's, the last 2 courses in that program would be a formal thesis. So I mentioned that we have the Masters of Science in ECE, and I'll talk more about the requirements for that master's degree. We also have 2 certificate programs. The graduate certificate, sometimes we like to think of it as like a half a master's degree, where if you want to take some graduate courses but don't want to make the commitment to pursuing the master's degree, you can get a graduate certificate, which is 5 courses rather than 10 courses. And then because we have so many courses in our curriculum, we've had a large number of students who finished their master's degree and want to continue taking courses. So we have a postmaster's certificate, which is 6 additional courses past the master's degree. And we've even had students who've pursued additional master's degrees in ECE just because of the richness in our curriculum. So going to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the details of in this case, the master's degree. So for the master's degree, 10 courses, 10 graduate level courses are required. there's a 5-year time limit, and we are understanding that people sometimes have issues going on in their personal life or their professional life. So upon request, we will also consider a leave of absence to extend that 5-year period when warranted. The 10 courses, at least 7 of those 10 courses must be ECE courses, and those can be online or on campus, either at the EP campuses or at the main campus in Baltimore. And you're permitted to have at most 3 electives. The majority of our students tend to take all 10 of their courses in the ECE program, but students do have interest, say, in like computer science or cybersecurity, physics, or math, and so those we do permit up to 3 approved electives from other programs. So the next slide will talk a little bit about the focus areas that we have in ECE. I'd mentioned earlier that we have 7 of these technical focus areas. So you can see that they really encompass the full breadth of areas that one might think about in electrical and computer engineering. So communications and networking, computer engineering, electronics and solid state. An area that's somewhat unusual that many programs do not have is we have a strong program in optics and photonics that we work in concert with the applied physics program here in APE to develop that curriculum. We have a very rich RF and microwave engineering focus area, signal processing, and then systems and control. So again, a very broad range of focus areas, and because we have over 80 courses, you're able to actually study some of these areas in depth as well. There is no requirement for students to select a focus area. So you can take, say, some courses in signal processing and some courses in RF and microwave engineering if that's of interest to you. We do have a requirement at the master's degree that at least 4 of the 10 courses must be at 700 level, meaning that they're more advanced graduate courses, which oftentimes have preliminary prerequisites, graduate level prerequisites. So because of that, you probably aren't going to be taking courses from all 7 focus areas. But again, there's no requirement to focus on one area. So I'd mentioned the graduate certificates, which you can kind of think of, as I said, like half a master's degree. So it's 5 courses that need to be completed in 3 years. And at least 4 of those courses must be ECE courses, and you're permitted up to 1 elective. Note that if you are pursuing the graduate certificate and decide that, hey, I'm really enjoying the program, I think I'd like to pursue the master's degree, certainly we can convert you to the master's degree, and the courses that you've taken as part of the graduate certificates will be applied to the master's degree. And then the postmaster's certificate are for those that already have a master's degree in ECE or a related field, and you take 6 additional courses. 4 of those, at least 4 of those, must be ECE courses. So there's a broad range of degree and certificate options based on your interest. Admissions. So the admissions into our program, we require a bachelor's degree from an ABET accredited ECE program. But keep in mind that we have many students in our graduate program who don't have an undergraduate ECE degree. So they may have a degree in mechanical engineering or physics or applied math or computer science, and they're interested, perhaps because of what they're doing at work, interested in ECE. So certainly we welcome those students. There may be some prerequisite courses at the not at the graduate level to kind of provide that foundational ECE knowledge so that you're able to succeed in the graduate level ECE courses. But again, we have many folks in the program that don't have the undergraduate ECE degree. We're looking for applicants that have a GPA of at least 3.0 or higher, but we are certainly open to understanding applicants who maybe don't quite meet that requirement. Sometimes at the undergraduate level, there are work or family commitments that will certainly work with you to understand. And some of our students, it's been a while since they completed their undergraduate degree. And so for those students, we understand that completing your degree 10 or 15 years ago probably isn't very representative of the technical professional that you are there. So we'll certainly look at resumes and professional experience as part of the admissions process, and note that the GRE is not required. I've kind of hinted at, we have a large number of courses that are online. Some of our courses are offered both on-site and online, and then some courses are offered at our physical campuses at the Applied Physics Laboratory. These are the locations of the on-campus locations of our classrooms. So primarily the classes in ECE are offered at the Applied Physics Laboratory. There's a couple of facilities associated in Laurel, Maryland with APL, where we have classrooms, and ECE also has a number of laboratories. We have a computer engineering laboratory where, for example, FPGA courses are taught. System on a chip course is taught. We also have a human robotics interaction lab. We have a fairly substantial RF and microwave laboratory at the APL campus facilities. And then the main campus of Johns Hopkins is located in Baltimore at the Homewood campus. And certainly students are free to take on-campus courses at that campus as well. So going to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the online courses, and something that I think makes us a little unique is that we have several online courses that actually have laboratories associated with them. And we have, at this point, two mechanisms for which we can incorporate laboratories into our online classes. So the first, which I'll talk about on the next slide, is appropriate for typically our computer engineering type of courses. We have, I guess, 3 courses that use this model. Maybe go on to the next slide and I'll talk more about this paradigm. For example, our FPGA course, we have a computer architecture course that uses this model. We have an embedded microprocessors course that uses this model. So what we do is we before the semester starts, we physically mail a development board, and there may be peripherals associated with that development board. We mail that kit to the student, so the student has that at their location, and then throughout the semester, the students are working with that development board and other peripherals in working on projects and really doing hands-on labs while interacting with students from all over, and the instructor working online. And we find that that's much more beneficial to the student than simply doing simulations to actually have physical hardware. And at the end of the semester, we ask that the laboratory kit be mailed back to EP so that they can be used in subsequent courses. The second mechanism for which we introduce labs into our online courses is primarily focused for our RF and microwave area, where the equipment tends to be much larger than a development board and also much more expensive. But what we do, we've developed technology that enables students to access this instrumentation that's located at the campus at APL, and the students are able to interface to that equipment, can actually change instrument settings. They can collect data associated with some type of test configuration, and actually look at different test points in, for example, a test circuit, and really try to measure with a real instrument. And some of this equipment's quite pricey, kind of the state-of-the-art high-frequency RF and microwave instrumentation. Students are able to use the real instrumentation, examine the data, download the data, and analyze the data. And again, we find that much more beneficial than doing simulation, whereas students are actually experiencing some of the real-world complications that such devices tend to have. So both of these models are used in a number of our courses, and we found them to be very successful in augmenting the learning experience for our online students.
All right. All right, thank you again, Brian. Now we'd like to share some information to help you take this next step. Some of the most common questions that our admissions team gets from prospective students is, what is the tuition and what resources are available to help me pay? So here it is. Our tuition is currently $4,250 a course. Our courses are 3 credits each, so this is the total tuition cost for each 3-credit course. Our tuition fluctuates every year due to inflation, so we encourage students to budget $45,000 total for their degree. This cost may exclude books and materials. The cost of books and materials really varies depending on the coursework that you register for. But in addition to tuition, students do not pay any fees. So there's no semesterly technology fee that students have to pay. Our online and part-time students do not pay any type of student union fee or anything like that. We do not charge a fee to submit your application for admissions, so there is no application fee. The only fee that our students pay is a fee at the end of their course of study with us, known as a graduate's fee. You have a variety of financing options available to you depending on your personal circumstance. I really encourage you to investigate and to take advantage of any education opportunities, benefits that your employer may offer. The majority of our students are actually using some sort of employer-provided tuition assistance to help them fund their education. We unfortunately do not have any scholarships available for our online and part-time graduate students, but there are other associations and organizations that do. For example, the National Consortium for Graduate Degrees for Minorities in Engineering, otherwise known as the National GEM Consortium, offers fellowship programs. Rules, requirements, and application instructions can be found on GEM's website. The application for these fellowship programs is open from July 1st to November the 13th. If you are a U.S. citizen or a qualifying U.S. resident, you may be eligible to use financial aid. The financial aid that is available for graduate students is largely unsubsidized loans. So similar to that, you can, of course, finance your education through a personal loan. And if you are active duty or retired military and you have veterans benefits, you can of course utilize these to finance your education. We do have a number of active duty and retired military enrolled in our online and part-time programs. If you're planning on using veterans benefits to finance your education, here are some things to keep in mind. The URL that you see here on your screen right now, ep.jhu.edu/veterans, has some great information on what forms you need to complete and to submit in order to utilize veterans benefits at Johns Hopkins. For students using Chapter 33 post 9/11 benefits, the Department of Veterans Affairs sets an annual cap on tuition for private schools. That cap is $23,671.94, and that is for an entire academic school year. So it includes the fall, spring, and summer semesters, and then renews every fall. We just talked about tuition costs. 5 courses will come underneath the tuition cap. The cost of 5 courses is $21,250. 6 courses, however, will exceed the tuition cap. The cost for 6 courses is $25,500. Johns Hopkins is a yellow ribbon school. How yellow ribbon works at Johns Hopkins is that it is applied once the tuition cap has been exceeded, and if it is exceeded, qualifying students can receive up to $1,000 per year. It is awarded on a first come, first served basis. Coming this fall, there are some changes regarding how the VA will be calculating the housing allowance for Chapter 33 recipients. BAH, your basic housing allowance, will be calculated using the zip code for your on-site classes, i.e. the physical location of the classrooms utilized. We are also happy to announce that Hopkins offers various networking opportunities for our veteran students. Current students, there is an online networking group via LinkedIn. Just simply search the Johns Hopkins University Veterans Connection Group or just Johns Hopkins Veterans to find that on LinkedIn. We also offer a networking group for alumni. It's offered through our Alumni Affinity office, and visit alumni.jhu.edu for more information on that organization. For students who are educated outside of the U.S., you do have some additional admissions requirements. They are that these students must submit an international credit evaluation of any credit earned at non-U.S. institutions. We prefer that students go through WES, which is a third-party international credit evaluation provider service to get this evaluation. These students also must provide proof of English proficiency via, for example, qualifying scores on a TOEFL exam. Unfortunately, international students studying on an F1 student visa are not eligible to enroll in our online and part-time graduate programs, as our registrar's office can no longer issue these students the Form I-20. The I-20 is a form necessary to maintain an F1 student visa. It confirms the location of a student's classes and that the student is indeed taking an in-person class at the university. We, across all of our programs, all of our online and part-time programs, we are migrating more and more of our coursework online at the request of our students. And so because we are doing this, we're not confident that we have enough coursework for the F1 student visa holders to meet their residency requirements. So the registrar's office has decided to stop issuing the Form I-20. That being said, international students are welcome to study with us from their home country. So you are able to enroll in these programs. You just have to study online with us, FYI. Next steps and important dates. So if you are interested in studying with us, your first step is to submit your application for admissions. You can do this by visiting ep.jhu.edu/apply. Next step is to submit your academic transcripts and your professional resume. Instructions for how to do this, where to send your transcripts, where to send your professional resume is actually included on the same page as the online application. So if you visit ep.jhu.edu/apply, the statement on where to send your transcripts, how to get those to us, where to send your professional resume, it is right above the application. That's where all the information is. We have rolling admissions here for our online and part-time students. It typically takes us 4 to 6 weeks on average from when we receive a student's completed application, so their online application and then those supplementary documents, the academic transcripts, the professional resume, 4 to 6 weeks to review that complete application package and then issue that applicant a decision letter. So with that timeline in mind, here are some important dates. The fall semester is right around the corner. Fall registration actually opens on July the 5th, and the fall semester begins on August the 27th. So if you are interested in starting with us in the fall, for best consideration, you really want to try and get your application materials in by the end of next week, if possible. June 15th is what I've been telling students, but we do have tons of time before the semester. Just get us those application materials as soon as possible. The spring semester, the registration opens on October the 25th, and the spring semester begins on January the 28th. So that is another upcoming semester as well. And that is the end of the prepared portion of our presentation. Now I'd love to open it up and have Dr. Jennison, Brian, to answer some of your questions. Again, how you can ask us a question if you're joining us via a PC, a Mac, a laptop, a desktop computer, you simply just click on the questions tab on the control panel and you can type in your questions to us. I will read it live for Brian to answer. If you are joining us via a cell phone or a tablet this evening, simply select the question mark in order to access the questions section. Brian, are you ready for our first question?
I am ready.
All right. Okay, so this first question, this attendee would like some more information on how online learning works with us. I know that you've already touched on kind of some of for example, the labs that are available in some of our courses. How does the physical, how do students participate in an average online class? Where do they? Yes.
Yep. So basically, you're going to be in a relatively small class. Right now, our online courses are capped to enrollment of roughly no more than 20 students. So you'll be able to interact with the instructor, interact with your fellow classmates. Each week, what we call a module of material is released, and that material might include the instructor talking about the material, voice over PowerPoint. So you'll be watching a series of videos of the instructor speaking to PowerPoint, and that may be augmented with various multimedia things like maybe the instructor is doing some demonstrations of some software. Maybe it's one of these computer engineering courses where you've got a development board, so you would see the instructor actually working with the board. There might be tutorials on how to use, a specific piece of software. So largely it's watching these videos throughout the week. Augmenting that material are various discussion questions that the instructor will post that are meant to encourage students to interact with each other and interact with the instructor on topics related to the material that week. There are assessments, so the assessments could be weekly homework. So you would have the week to complete the homework and then upload it into Blackboard, which is the learning management system that we use here at Hopkins. There could be projects that there are multiple weeks. So you would be perhaps uploading preliminary results on your project. There are mechanisms for which students at the end of the semester can do presentations. So some of our advanced courses, the students are working on a project, and maybe the last week, the students are each presenting the results of their project to the other students and to the instructor. You can have exams. Typically, the way the exams are held is there's a preset time that the students are able to work on the exam. So the student will download the exam, the timer will start, the student will complete the exam in that pre-allotted amount of time and then upload it to Blackboard. And so basically you're on this 1 week module pace. Most of it is done asynchronously, so you can view this material at 2 o'clock in the morning for 7 nights of the week. There typically is an opportunity to actually have a synchronous interaction with the instructor. So sometime during the week, the instructor will schedule office hours, which is kind of similar to what we're doing right now, where the instructor and the students can engage each other through audio or even video to ask questions about the material or ask questions about the assessment. So I think that's a overview of how online learning works here at EP. And I think if you go to the EP website, there's a link that talks about online learning as well that you might want to visit. Hopefully that answered the student's question.
All right, great, thank you so much. This next question, if the application materials are not received in time for the fall semester, is the student deferred to the spring semester or denied admissions? Assuming that there are no other issues with the applicant's candidacy. I can answer this question. Yes, if you do not submit your application materials in time for consideration for the fall, you will be considered for the spring semester. All right. Anything that you want to add there, Brian?
Yeah, I think the key there is what you had said earlier about rolling admissions. So we'll accept your materials at any time. We will evaluate your materials at any time, and when we make a decision based on that timeline, you're eligible to enroll after you've been admitted for the upcoming semester. So I think the key is get your materials in as soon as possible, and we'll start evaluating and make a decision and get you enrolled in courses.
All right. This next student asks, I'm interested in a master's in machine learning. I already have a PhD in ECE. Can I use my previous graduate coursework from my PhD towards my master's?
So every situation is different, but we will certainly consider you can transfer up to 2 courses from previous graduate work, as provided it's relevant to our degree and has been taken within the previous 5 years. So certainly we would entertain the possibility of transferring up to 2 courses into our master's program.
Okay.
And as far as machine learning, maybe that's obviously a very hot area. So we do have a number of courses in the general area of machine learning. We have a pattern recognition course. We actually have deep learning is all the rage these days in machine learning. So we have a course that we call Deep Vision, which is deep learning applied to computer vision. And then hopefully by spring 2019, we will have a course called machine learning for signal processing. So we do have a significant number of courses specifically geared towards machine learning.
All right. Next question. Is it possible to take courses related to the degree but not necessarily in the program? For example, I'm interested in electrical engineering program that controls concentration, but would also like to take some courses related to robotics that cover path planning and dynamics. So
Yeah,
what are your
certainly.
thoughts?
If as you recall, to get the master's degree in ECE, you need to take 10 courses. At least 7 of those courses must be ECE courses, but you can take up to 3 approved electives. So if you're interested in robotics and path planning and kinematics, mechanical engineering actually has several good courses in that area. So you could take up to 3 courses outside of ECE and apply them to the master's degree. And computer science also has some courses that are intimately related to robotics. And actually, I'll just throw in a, a pitch for a new course in the cybersecurity program that basically looks at vulnerabilities and mitigation against cyber attacks for control systems. I think it's called cyber physical systems. So obviously a very hot topic of how do you protect like industrial control systems to cyber attacks. So bottom line, yeah, you can take up to 3 courses, approved electives outside of ECE.
All right, wonderful. We still have a little bit of time left. If anybody has any additional questions for Dr. Jennison or myself, we're happy to answer those questions for you. Dr. Jennison, I was wondering if maybe we could talk a little bit about sometimes a question comes up in these events having to do about PhDs. If a student was interested in a future PhD study, what would your recommendations for that student be?
Yeah, so certainly we've had many graduates of our program who've gone on to pursue PhDs at many prestigious universities, including Johns Hopkins and Duke, are a couple that come to mind. So I think things that if you're interested in a PhD, things that you might want to do as part of your master's degree is get involved in one of these semester-long independent study where you are actually working with an instructor on a topic of mutual interest. So that would give you kind of a flavor of what it's like to do R&D type work in a less structured environment than you would get in a typical classroom. Don't think of these as like a easy way of getting credit for a course. Typically, these independent studies are much more involved and much more time consuming than might be a regular classroom experience, but it's typically extremely rewarding to the student, and many of these lead to, as I said, some type of journal publication or conference proceeding. And so I would think that type of experience would be very germane as you consider applying to PhD programs. Hopkins is also just getting off the ground something called a doctorate of engineering, which is a more applied advanced degree than a PhD. And that also might be something that you would want to keep in mind in future years. The doctorate of engineering, which might be better suited for some students' interest than a PhD.
All right. All right. Okay, it looks like we have one last question, and then we'll wrap up for the evening. Are there any courses available on Shady Grove, the Shady Grove campus in Rockville? So unfortunately, we are not offering any coursework at the universities of Shady Grove in Rockville, Maryland at this time. We showed a slide here. I'll just like quickly navigate to it right now. Of where our on-site classes are located. And here they are. We offer on-site classes. The majority of our on-site coursework is actually at the Applied Physics Laboratory. And Brian, you said that kind of on a case-by-case basis, ECE students are also maybe able to take coursework at our Homewood campus with the full-time students as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, they certainly are welcome to take courses at the full-time program, working, of course, with your advisor in selecting those courses. But yes, that's certainly permitted.
All right. All right. Well, everyone, it looks like we've gotten to the end of our questions here. I want to thank everyone for spending some time with us this evening. Thank you for giving us an hour of your evening. We've enjoyed answering your questions, reading your questions. Thanks so much for your interest in our programs. And Brian, thank you so much for your time this evening, giving us great information on this program and for answering our questions.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl, and thanks for everybody for attending.
If anyone has any additional questions, if you know, after our event this evening, you think of additional questions you'd like to ask myself or to ask Brian, you can simply email those questions to me. My email address is cheryl.williams@jhu.edu, or you can simply just hit the reply button on the email where you received login credentials for tonight's event, and I will forward those questions on to you. Brian, does that work for you?
That sounds great.
All right. All right. Well, again, thank you, everyone. And please stay in touch. Let us know if we can be of further assistance. Have a wonderful evening.